All right. It is my privilege to have Sean Lane share his job search story. Sean has been, just for those who are new here, if you want to say, you said Sean's contributed, I don't know, but he might hold the market on more YouTube videos that I have recorded of somebody from Job Team than anybody. He's contributed a lot to here. So if you want to know stuff, I'm sure he's going to share some of the things he's contributed. But Sean, congratulations and look forward to hearing your story.
Thank you. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. That means I've been here for a long time, but that's okay. I'll share my screen here, um, and go through this job search. Let me get that rid of it. Okay. So yeah, I got laid off in December from Traeger and or at the end of December. So January is when it started. And when I first started, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just sending resumes that I had in my computer to random jobs on LinkedIn, not any value or any process or anything like that. But Steve helped out a ton getting my ATS resume going. And um, my LinkedIn profile worked up a lot better. But what I'll walk through today is where I started, what wasn't working, what I pivoted, networking around volume, which I know Steve will love to hear. More networking than volume. The infrastructure I built to move faster, tactics that actually move the needle, tools I built along the way. And case study here, in fact, is like Global Archives, which is where I landed a job, start to finish, and the lessons I've learned and what's next. So, starting point, I was sending like 12 plus applications sent in just a few days, or maybe even sometimes that was in a day. Zero interviews from cold applications. So, what I realized was, I mean, referred applications are where somebody vouched for me, converted to real interviews, and blind applications didn't do anything for me. The pivot, I applied broadly, or before I applied broadly to any posted role, submitted and moved on. Job boards as my primary source, which I did not like to do. Success measured in applications sent, which was not an actual measure of how successful I was doing this process. So after I thought about it, I targeted roles with a real fit or real contact. I reached out to referrals, recruiters, and network connections first. LinkedIn network and warm leads as primary source, and then my success was measured in conversations started. Not necessarily interviews all the time, but conversations at least. So a human, the single biggest lever in this whole search was that human reads it first. So I would get into a referrals contact and get a resume past the ATS system in front of an actual person, not filtered out by keywords matching alone. Recruiters converted faster. Direct recruiter outreach, like Spark Recruiting, which is where Global Archives came into play, moved into real conversations far faster than any cold application I had. And it compounds. Global Archives, Body Bio, I actually had good interview with. Stanford, I had an interview with. And Outdoor Pro Link, all trace back to warm connections or inbound recruiter, not a job board. So my search infrastructure. Uh, my master ATS resume, I built that for keyword optimizing tailored across roles. I actually got into it a lot more and I tailored it every single time I applied to a job. Um, I upped my skills on LinkedIn, did a comprehensive list and tailored that for every resume. So every resume was different. I built a career highlight deck, um, standard and remote targeted versions. So these are things that I could build and then send to people before I actually applied to jobs or sent to a friend that knows a lot of people. I have a friend in Bozeman that knows a lot of people, a lot of different industries. I send it to him. I send it to numerous other people down in Stanford area and whatnot. And then applications tracker. I built that on AI. I'm actually on version 41 now. So every time I applied to a job, I would add it to my applications tracker and just maintain and kept it going throughout the process. That way I could look back and see if I needed to reach back out to a company, if I needed to reach back out to a lead, anything like that was all built into this applications tracker that AI built for me. I didn't really do much of that. I just told it what I wanted and make AI do what you want. So Steve helped a lot with this. The ATS safe formatting, no color, special characters or underlines, dates written to with two instead of hyphens, percentages spelled out rather than using the percentage symbol. No special characters. Always write and. Every resume run through JobScan and iterated on keyword match. So this is something that I will talk about a little bit. I got the premium version through the Steve and the career team here, and mine was starting to glitch a little bit. So I ended up having my AI build a job scan tool. So I could put it in immediately and get my results immediately. It wasn't on the web. It wasn't web-based. So I didn't have to wait for it and I didn't have to think about my information going out onto the internet, which I didn't know if that happened in JobScan, but my version does not do that. You do not even have to be on Wi-Fi to use my version. Kept my own wording and voice rather than letting a draft sound AI generated. So, keywords. So this is what happens when I put mine into a job scan, put my resume into a job scan. So Stanford application, my first draft was like a 48% with my master resume, but I got it tailored down to where it was actually an 88% at the end. And I used that job scan tool a ton. This one 39 to 81, 41 to 78. Um, this one doesn't say, but I know I built it up and got it into a 76. And I had a lot of 100% matches too, which actually is where my global archives, the job that I actually landed, it landed at a 100% match, according to my tool and according to the job scan tool. So in my resume, I and cover letter, I like to address things head on. Like I only have an Associate of Arts versus a bachelor's degree, but I also have 25 years of experience in what I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to apply to. So I would address that head on. SaaS subscription sales experience. I have 25 years of experience. These were all just other jobs that I applied to, but I used what I didn't have as a benefit, knowing that I had all these years of experience and everything that I had done in my career. I've only worked for three companies in my adult life. Two of them happen to be Coca-Cola's. One happens to be a Traeger. So instead of that, no gaps were named. Full focus was on the executive support strengths. So even though it preferred a bachelor degree, it didn't land that it had to have a bachelor's degree. So my cover letter, my resume, everything focused on what I actually had, the actual strengths, leading with what I have rather than what's missing. Forgot which slide I'm on. There we go. 10. Um, what I realized throughout my search was I was actually just mass applying to a ton of different companies. And I sat down one day and just thought, what do I actually want to do here? I mean, I was given a very good opportunity. I mean, most people look at a layoff as horrible, but mine was not horrible. I have a little bit more of a background where I was laid off, yes, but I was also, to get totally honest, I actually went through a divorce before that, got laid off, sold my house. I live in my fifth wheel, um, so I don't have a mortgage. And I got time enough to think about what I actually wanted. I don't have a lot of monthly bills. So I was able to just sit here and think for a minute. And I kind of went into the outdoor identity. I'm a Montanan at heart. So fly fishing, hunting, Montana roots. And I use those deliberately in applications to outdoor industries like Onyx, Sitka, Kuyu, all these outdoor industries. And that's what actually ended up getting me the job at Global Archives, they wanted a true Montanan. They wanted somebody from Montana that knew Montana to sell to Montanans. So that's what I'll be doing, and I'll go into that here in a minute. I learned a lot on fake LinkedIn profiles, which, you know, some people would just drop those right away after they realized they were fake, but I uh I did that, right? Recruiters looking at profiles with thin history or mismatched details. Steve kind of helped me identify some of those. Fraudulent company outreach. I had a ton of these. I didn't have actual real recruiters looking at me the whole time. It was more of the fake ones, and it was hard to figure those out, but once you do it, you get it done. So verify the recruiter and the company independently before sharing anything or engaging further. So what I learned throughout this process is I had a lot of time on my hands, and I do not like that. I like to be busy. I like to work. So I, when I got the job scan tool starting to, I call it kind of deteriorating. So I think I was nearing the end. I haven't been on it for a while now, but I thought it was at the end of its lifespan with me because we only have a certain amount of time to use it. So I thought before it goes away, I'm going to put a bunch of its information into AI, and I'm going to make my own tool that I could share with everybody. So that's what I did. I made a resume keyword match tool. It's free. Steve has it. If you're brand new, you can use it if you want. It's totally free. It's just HTML, so you don't need a big file or anything like that. You basically put the job title in. It matches up to 40 words automatically, but you can up that to 50 or 60 or whatever, however many words you want. You put the job description in, you put your resume in, and it immediately comes out with your uh, percentage of match. And then you can put that back into your AI and rework your resume if you wanted. That's how I was doing it. But you could also just put this match tool into your AI chat, the job description, and your master resume, and it will spit out the finalized resume the first time. So you don't have to go back and forth like you do with the job scan tool. That's what I was doing at first, as I was going through putting my resume into the job scan tool, coming out with a result, copying, pasting the result into my AI, rebuilding my resume, looking at it, making sure it was right because AI doesn't do everything perfect, and then I'd rescan it. Well, this one you can just put into your AI chat and your job description and your resume, and it spits out the final product first. I also built a cover letter fit and tone checker. So you put the job description in and I can't remember what else you put in there. It tells you exactly what to put in, and it makes your cover letter for you, but it also makes sure that your cover letter is not sounding like AI. So any of the typical AI phrases or special characters or anything like that, it takes them all out and lets you know that it is a really truly written cover letter. It also I just forgot what I was going to say. It also lets you know that you have the right job description in there. That's what I wanted to say. So the job title or anything like that, it makes that happen. So if you have just a bunch of cover letters in your computer and you put one in there, it'll actually identify that it's not the right one. So that way you know before you send it. This networking target finder, I mean, I'm a salesman at heart, so I don't mind talking to people, but that is one of the harder things for a lot of people to do. So I built this tool to find out who I should talk to at a company. And it's very simple to use, and I can go over how to use those when we're done if anybody wants, especially the new people. But the networking target finder, you uh, copy and paste the company, what role you're applying to, and who you would like to target to network and outreach and find out about a role. And it analyzes, you copy and paste the employees from LinkedIn into this, and it tells you who you should reach out to first, who you should reach out to second. It grades them from high priority to low priority, and it also comes up with its own message to send to these people. So you don't even have to think about it. So if you don't like networking, a lot of people don't, this does all the work for you. All you're doing is copying and pasting. And then a job title and search finder. So if you're unsure of what your resume is actually speaking towards, I I built this tool for that reason and that reason alone. I can put my master resume into this and it'll come up with what I should be applying to, what my master resume is actually geared towards, and comes up with different searches you can put into LinkedIn, Indeed, anything like that. Um, and let you know how you should search for your next role. So there's 4 tools right there. They're all free. Steve has them and I can share them too, whatever the case may be. So like I said, I got bored throughout my search and had to come up with those. So the outreach playbook, low key first message, short, genuine note, no attachments, no pitch. So that was what I was doing with that network key finder is I would actually just send an actual message to a company, to an employee in a company who I thought I should reach out to. And it was very generic, no pitch, just how's it going? I'm thinking about applying to this role. Can you tell me anything about it? And I would send that to 5 or 6 people in a company. And if they responded, then I would send my career deck and my resume. Even if they didn't ask for either, or if they only asked for a resume, I would send both. So my career deck was basically just like a highlight roll of my career. It's a PowerPoint just like this is, and then I would send my resume. If no response, then I'd follow up with materials regardless. It still gets seen by an actual person, and that's what I think made the difference for me was being able to, or made it in my mind anyway, maybe not totally, but in my mind, it made it better because I was actually talking to people and not an ATS system. So that's what I would do. And that's why my applications tracker actually helped me out because I knew what day I reached out to people. It was all on the tracker. What message I sent to people, who I contacted, everything like that, to where if I couldn't remember, I could go back to my tracker and then follow up. Um, Several tracks in parallel, not one at a time. So I had multiple um, applications. I think I have maybe 20 applications into Stanford, and I have an internal referral there. I did get an interview, but then it just kind of went short or went silent, so I don't have anything going on there. My outdoor industry people, I have a lot of applications into all of these companies, and I have lined them with genuine personal interests. So I'm a fly fisherman, I'm a hunter, I'm an outdoorsman, I'm a hiker, all that kind of thing. And I use the products that I was actually applying to. I use Onyx, I use Sitka, I use Kuiu, I use a lot of those products, so I can speak to it. Body Bio was a referral actually from one of our people on career team, Elizabeth. I can't remember her last name. Lawson, I
Yeah.
think.
Yes.
Okay. So she actually referred me to Body Bio, and that is what actually got me the interview with them. And it was a great job, remote. Um, but I only got one interview and then they got rid of me, but that's okay. Doesn't matter. It was the whole point of an actual person networking that got me the interview. It was not me just blindly applying to places. So later in my search, I started going through networking, and that's how I got into Global Archives. A recruiter actually did reach out, and I started talking to her and got an interview with her. Immediately the next day, or no, sorry, 3 days later, I got an interview with the CEO. And the day after that, I got an interview with the CFO and actually the owner of the company. And that's what turned into my job right there. So the Global Archives job, I'm just waiting for the actual offer letter, but it's supposed to be coming today. So I applied. They wanted somebody in Bozeman or Helena, and it was off of Indeed. So later in the search, I was applying to roles in Indeed and LinkedIn and Glassdoor and Ladders and I mean just tons remote, all that kind of stuff. But it was finally Indeed that I actually found this role. And the recruiter was Kat. She's actually out of Utah. She reached out after screening, got into 2 rounds of interviews, and then I got a written proposal. It was a fixed pay ramp up commission from month 5, which they weren't going to do right off the bat. There is no benefits, so I did counter. I negotiated, and I let AI help me with that. And I countered on the base pay and paid time off because that was not in the first proposal. I still do not have benefits as far as health or retirement, but it is a startup, and I'm actually their first employee in the US. Everybody else is contract employees. So they're going to look at health and retirement here in about 4 or 5 months once we ramp up. And I did get a revised offer. I accepted it and just waiting for the formal offer letter. So get everything in writing before responding. Never negotiate the details live. I did have live interviews, and that's how they presented the proposal, and I asked for it in writing. Acknowledge what they already conceded. They added commission after first saying there wouldn't be any, but I kind of pushed back on that a little bit. And justify asks with real verifiable costs. So my insurance premiums are going to be high. Everybody knows insurance is high. So I put that into my counter offer. Pick an ask that's easy to say yes to, a modest, defensible number with a big swing, over a big swing, and raise every open point in one clean counter. Pay, PTO together, not multiple rounds. I did this all within one email. So ramp up pay, got the initial offer, I increased the pay before I'm signing. Commission was actually a no right off the bat, but I got 10% from month 5 and a 5% kicker above that threshold when I hit the 10% threshold. There was no PTO or sick leave addressed, so now I have 10 holidays, 10 combined vacation and medical for year 1. There was no vehicle right off the bat, and this is kind of a driving through Montana, building a pipeline type sales job. So I have an office vehicle, reimbursement proposed, and they kept that in there. But that was not in there to begin with. So the lessons I've learned, referrals beat the volume. One warm intro outperformed a dozen cold applications. I built reusable tools that are free to use, tracker, keywords, tools, and they paid off across the application process. Adapt gap strategy to the room. So name gaps directly in some cases, lead with strengths than others. So that's exactly what I did. If I didn't have a bachelor's degree, I would name it right off the bat in a cover letter. And sometimes that got me into an interview, letting them know that I understand that I don't have the bachelor's degree, but I also have 25 years of experience. And then multiple job scan rounds turned weak matches into strong ones because you can put your resume, even your master resume, into a job scan tool with the job description that you're applying to. It can come back very, very weak. And then if you look through all the things that you're missing on that scan, you can sometimes realize that I have 80% of these. Let's put that back into AI, get my resume built back again, because I actually have all these. And then always verify before you trust. So, like the scammers or even the AI resumes that are coming out, always verify those before you send them anywhere. And always negotiate in writing calmly. Acknowledge concessions using real numbers and keep it collaborative. And then what's next? I'm waiting on my formal offer letter, should be here today. I still have active leads in play. I mean, I have tons of applications out there, and I'm still refining and sharing my toolkit that I have built. That's basically my job search in a nutshell in 8 months, and that's where I'm at today.
Hey, round of applause. Okay, for those who are new, we traditionally throw everybody into the mix here to ask Sean a question. So we will throw in, I won't throw a new person in yet. I will throw in, first of all, Roger.
Well, congratulations, Sean.
Thanks, Robbie.
Um, you ought to think about marketing um, your everything you put together here. So probably make some cash on the side doing that. It's pretty good what you did. Got a couple questions. At the very beginning, you said they're finding out only applying for jobs where you had real contact information. How did you go about that?
So I started applying to companies that I could find. Like I bumped up my network on LinkedIn. Whether I knew the people or whether I didn't, it didn't really matter. As long as I bumped up my network in LinkedIn and I had somebody that worked at that company, those were the roles that I was kind of going for because I could talk to them. I could chat with them, send them a message. If they didn't know somebody, maybe they knew somebody in a different company because a lot of these outdoor companies are friends with other, like Kuyu's friends with Sitka, stuff like that. Um, I tried to find those people, talk to them. I tried to have a conversation before I applied to a job. That's what I meant by that.
Okay, so you usually kind of use LinkedIn in order to do that.
Yes, I use
whether
LinkedIn
you
a lot
whether
for
you
that.
whether you knew the person or didn't know it, you
Right.
just did some cold calling and stuff like that.
Yeah, some cold calling, but also like a first network, first person network. So if I like I became a first connection to a recruiter at Onyx, which is the mapping system for hunting, for off-road, for fishing, anything like that, and it's built right here in Montana. Um, I became friends with the recruiter and I reached out to her numerous times on jobs and applied to those jobs after conversations with her. I also, it's kind of funny, I sold a Traeger to a guy that works at Sitka, found him on LinkedIn. He remembered me and then he kept me in the loop and kept me going on different jobs at Sitka and tried to apply to those too. It didn't always land with an interview, didn't always do that, but it was also in a job that I wanted with a company that I wanted, and I had an actual conversation with a person before just sending a blind resume to an ATS system.
One other question for you. You mentioned this a few times in your presentation, um, differentiating between real postings and scammers and stuff like that. Can you, for everybody, can you elaborate more on that? How you determined whether a job posting was real or if it was a scammer. And I've dealt with recruiters out there that were not legit as well. So maybe that would help people.
Absolutely. So a lot of the times the scammers will try to connect with you. They say they're a recruiter and then they message something right away. And like I had a lot of them. I had probably 25, 30 of them reach out to me right after they connected with me. And it would be, we saw your profile. We like your background. We think you'd be a good fit for this job. And they'd send that in a message on LinkedIn. I would copy and paste that or look it up on the actual website of that company because a lot of times they say which company it's for, and I wouldn't find the job. I'd message back and try to figure out which job it is. They would say, well, it's not posted yet, or something like that. But I'd say, okay, well, I'm kind of interested for the first couple just to see where this was going. And they always asked if they could have somebody look over my resume and have me pay for them to make sure it's ATS friendly. As soon as I heard that, it's a scam. It's done. As soon as they try to get money out of you before going into the job. And a lot of times I would say, well, if you think my background's a match, what do I need to change my resume for? You already see my resume. It's right there. Why do I have to change my resume to get to this job if you're reaching out to me first? So those were the types of scammers that I had a ton of them. Ton of them. And it always seemed to come right after I made a post on LinkedIn too. That is another thing that always happened. As soon as I made a post on LinkedIn, 20 minutes to 2 hours later, I would have messages come in and they were all recruiters, but they were all fake. Every one of them.
It's good to know. Congratulations, Sean. I
Thank
hope it
you.
all goes well for you.
Thank you.
Back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Roger. Next up is Giselle.
Well, first off, congratulations as well. That's awesome to
Thank you.
get through the process. Do have a question about your networking. So with working with Steve, like obviously, like yes, working on the LinkedIn and building the network, with the tools that they have, we have the email database. Did you email people through that database or only use LinkedIn?
I did right when we first got that tool, right when I first got that tool, I did use that a little bit, but I didn't have any ground. I wasn't making any ground with it. Not that it doesn't work, because it does for some people, but for me, I just found it better to send a message. Or if they had their email on LinkedIn, I would send them an email. And it actually got me a contact into a company that I wanted to apply for, Revlist, which is like the mother company of Sika and all that. So I used LinkedIn more than anything just for that. Not necessarily to apply to jobs, but to network. 1 week I grew my network from like 150, a small network, and I grew it up to 370 in a week. And I did that by doing exactly what I said right there. I would message people. I would get into my second connections into people that I wanted or companies that I wanted to apply to, or do it before I even applied to a company. I would connect with them and send a note. So that's what my little network tool actually does for you. You
Yeah.
can just copy and paste that note in there and keep on going. Because it tailors it to their name and everything, and it knows how many words it can be. So if you are connecting first, you only get like 300 words or 300 characters or whatever. If you're going to send a connection with a note, it knows that. So it makes it 300 words or less, 300 characters or less.
Okay, I do agree with that. I've kind of had the same response. Like I feel like LinkedIn, I get a little bit more feedback than via the email. So I was just curious if
Yeah.
so. Yeah, nope, that's good information. Thank you, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up is Tammy.
Hi, Sean. Congratulations.
Thanks, Tammy.
I was wondering, did you have any problems with confidence, trying to get your confidence up, and what did you do?
Yes, tons. So like I said in my presentation, I need to work. And if I'm not working, my confidence is low. So what I did was I tried to make my week strategic. And I had my confidence was low. I was down in the dirt some weeks and just hated. I didn't even want to pop onto my computer, anything like that. So I tried to build my week out a little differently to where I'd apply to jobs on certain days, I'd network on certain days, and that was working for a while. And then I wasn't getting the results back. I wasn't getting the results back. So I kept on going with that a little bit. And that's when I got into the AI more. It was the prompting. I listened to Jeff Bodley's talk on prompting on AI and got to learn that a little bit more and got more comfortable with the AI. And that's when I built those tools. And it just gave me something to do. It was more of giving me something to do. So now, okay, I built these tools. Now I can go apply to more jobs. And that helped me out, getting out of my shell and getting more applications out there. And they weren't just cold applications. It was using the networking finder tool, using this or that, and then applying to a job. And I've actually got more responses back by doing it that way than just cold applying to jobs, obviously. But my confidence was low because I was doing that. I was just applying to jobs, applying to jobs, applying to jobs, thinking, oh, I'm working hard, I'm working hard. Once I slowed that down a little bit and was a little more strategic and went into who I could find at this company, do I have a referral over here? I had numerous referrals from different people. You even helped out. You reached out with a job or a company that I could apply to. And Elizabeth Lawson did, my girlfriend did from Stanford. Um, and she actually had a few network people. So look at who you talk to daily. They know people somewhere. And that's how I kind of navigated my friend network, people that I actually know. And then it just gave me more confidence to actually apply to those places once I knew somebody that knew somebody or whatever the case may be there.
Okay, thank you. And congratulations, you really deserved a job.
Thank you. We all do.
True, but you worked harder.
No, no, I got bored and had to do it.
Next up is Kevin.
Hey, Sean, yeah, just to repeat, Tammy said, I don't know that anyone worked harder than you, and just your documentation, and then also just sharing your experiences. You've left us with a ton of tools. I was just using one of your things a little bit earlier this morning. My resume went from like a 47, and I checked the boxes of things that were missing in my resume, and it was basic stuff like, do I have a driver's license? And it got up to like 94. It was one of those things that not even like the LinkedIn catches. I don't even think JobScan catches. And even just using that whole tool into Claude to kind of one-stop shopping, right? I mean, obviously you
Right.
check it before you send it in. I don't have any question, Ben. I'm just really appreciative of you and the open and honest stuff. People hit on earlier about the confidence. It's really easy to lose your confidence and how you think you're actually doing something that's beneficial as opposed to like, well, I'll just send out 5 resumes today, but just having the initiative to set those up and to keep track and to follow those up. And all the tools you've left, I think is really what I'm going to take away from this. So congratulations, man. You,
Thank
you
you.
worked for everything and go do great things.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And I hope he comes back here and wants to hire people here. That's what I will hope. So
Well, I am the first employee and they are talking about ramping this up, so you never know.
okay. Next up is Allie.
Everyone's going to send Sean their resume now.
Hi, congratulations. It's so exciting.
Thank you.
So my question has to do with the JobScan tool and the tools that you created. When you were going through that iterative process, at what percentage did you want it? Like before
Uh,
you send?
my resume, what percentage I want my resume? So I wanted it above an 80%. I think the JobScan tool says something about be above 70 or 75, but I wanted it above 80 because a lot of times they're just small words that you're missing, or it's phrased differently in your resume than it actually is registering on the job description. So you're saying something which means this, but you're not actually saying this. So that's why you're scoring lower. Because you got to remember it's an actual computer system that's doing the scan. So it has to match as much as you possibly can. So I wanted at least an 80% to apply to a job. Um, and it, like I said, once you use the tool that I built and you put it into your AI, job description, resume, it spits out the final product right away. You don't have to go back and forth. So once I did that, I would get at least an 80% on the jobs that I applied to using that format. And then I would check them in the job scan if it worked. If my job scan was working still, I would check it in the actual premium version and I would score within 3 to 5% of my tool. But yeah, above an 80 is what I would do. And
Awesome.
that's a great question because one of the tools I built, uh, because I only talked about 4 tools, but I built 5. One of the tools I built, you can put your job description in, your resume, and it tells you whether it's an actual, should you change your resume for this job? It'll actually scan it before you do it and say, that's too much of a stretch. Or, yeah, you're only missing a few things. Let's go ahead and tailor a resume for this. So there is 5 tools that Steve has, and one of those does that before you actually put your resume into the keyword match.
And I think that came when he went from ChatGPT to Claude, because he asked Claude, and Claude says this is too far of a stretch. Isn't that where it first came from?
Yes, Claude would not lie to me. And I told it not to lie to me right from the get-go. ChatGPT, I actually ended up deleting my subscription. I asked both AIs to make a master resume for me, and ChatGPT went around in circles and circles and circles and circles and never spit it out. It told me it was going to make a 10-page resume, and I said, no, just make me a resume. Claude spit it right back out. But when I put a job description into each one, because I was doing that right off the bat just to see whether I liked Claude or not, and Claude would spit back and say, I don't think you should apply to this one. So yeah, that's why I ended up coming up with that tool.
Yeah, and I've been using the keyword scan tool and I really appreciate it. So thank you for your presentation and for those tools, and congratulations and good luck in your next adventure.
Thank you. Good luck to you.
Okay, let's try a new person that's brand new to the group. James.
All right, I love this. Hey, Sean, congrats, man. That's really awesome.
Thanks.
I'll maybe just my questions maybe more about maybe my experience. Maybe if you found the same experience, maybe it help the group. You know, I created a tool myself. Sounds very similar to what you built, which is awesome. Um, you know, and Claude will give me a score. I'll put my kind of skills in. I'll put the job description in. It'll come back with a score, like a grading system. Uh, and what I found was it was really good about picking up keywords, but it wasn't great about putting in a lot of details about what to relate to those keywords. I wonder if you had the same experience, and you had to maybe tweak, maybe tweak and kind of make sure you really reviewed each resume before you send it out.
Yes, I always review every resume before I send them out for sure. And I do know what you're talking about. So I would use the premium version of the scan tool that the career team gave. I would copy and paste that into my AI and say, this is what this scan came up with. My tool, I want to mimic this to a certain point because the premium version actually tells you whether you have, it tells you a lot. It tells you a lot. It tells you whether you have like, what am I trying to think of? Specifics
Mhm.
and then the keyword match and all that kind of stuff. So I actually scanned in a bunch of those previous jobs that I had applied to before I came out with my tool,
Mhm.
or the final version anyway. And a lot of those, yeah, you got to make sure that your resume sounds natural.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I prompted my AI with was because I've used Claude for quite a while now. I said, you know me, speak like a human. This is what I want it to sound like. And these are the keywords that I'm missing. Copy and paste. Come up with a resume, and then I'd look at that and scan it, and it was a lot better that way. But if you prompt your AI first to sound like a human, sound like you, if you use your AI quite a bit, it knows you, it knows your background. Um, I hate to say that because it's not a person, but prompting it the right way is what actually made my resume sound more realistic and better.
Love that. Yeah, congrats again.
Thank you.
All right. We have somebody in our midst who is who's been doing recruiting, and we're going to put Jenny on. And maybe Jenny doesn't know what it's like to be on the other side of the fence. She has used an ATS, an applicant tracking system, but maybe she doesn't know what it's like being on this side. Oh, you're muted. Sorry. Let me unmute you. There you go. There should be an unmute button. There you go.
So I was an associate recruiter for about 3 years, but I've been doing the AI thing too. I've been targeting my resumes and sending them out and doing that. I'm pretty impressed that you did what you like, how you formatted everything and did that. I give you way props for that because I could not do that. And congratulations on your new job. That's really cool.
Thank you.
My question is, kind of the confidence thing that just like having more confidence. Like I've been unemployed since June. I worked with actually Allison that's in this meeting. And unfortunately, the confidence is just hard. Like I apply, like today, I applied for 3 jobs, and it's just really hard when they don't get back to you. So, how did you navigate that? Because that's the hardest thing for me. Is like my kids are in school today, and I'm bored, and I'm trying to stay confident and be like proactive. And anyways, so yeah. So, what kind of advice do you have about that?
So yeah, and that is a real thing, and everybody goes through that. I went through it right off the bat. I thought so when I first started this, I have had 3 jobs in my past. 2 were with Coca-Cola companies in Montana. They're both privately owned, so it's basically the same job. I just moved from one part of the state to the other. And then I got into Traeger. So that was 3 jobs that I've had. Okay. Each one of those was from networking. That's how I got my first job, but it's not the same networking that we do now. That's how I got my second job, and that's how I got my third job. What gave me the confidence was, and maybe it's because I'm in sales, I know when I'm going to sell a Traeger, you think of, okay, you're in a Costco. That's where we did our road shows, and we did a lot of special events too. But this was my mindset behind everything that I did here. So I'm a salesman. How many people are walking into West Bountiful's Costco per day? I've done West Bountiful, by the way. There's a lot. There's 1,000 people walking in there. I try to talk to every single one of them, and I might sell 3 to 5 grills a day. So it's all those that I took into my mind for my job applications. I know I'm going to get 3,000 no's and maybe 1 yes, maybe 1 interview. I took that into consideration when I'm doing this job search, knowing that I get told no a ton of times in sales. They don't always lead. But what I did was, that's why I differentiated what I did each day. So that's why I could do my applications on Monday and Tuesday, maybe, my networking outreach on Wednesday and Thursday, my follow-ups on Friday. And that's why I built an application tracker too. So I had an actual tracker that told me when I applied to a job, if I reached out to anybody in that company. Each chat I had with Claude would be 1 job. So then that whole chat had everything, and then I'd upload my tracker to it and said, add all this to my tracker. And then I'd start a new chat to start a new job. And I'd forget about those. Once I apply, I forget about those. Those are gone. If I hear back from them, awesome. If I don't, okay. But then I can go back to my tracker later in the week and say, okay, it's been a week and a half since I've reached out to this company. Maybe I should send a message here. But I just broke up my day that way, or my weeks that way, and that's how I did it. But I kept everything organized with that tracker.
I love that. Thank you so much. That actually helped because, like I said, like I get up and I get online and I just apply and apply and apply, and I feel like it's not getting me anywhere, and it's kind of frustrating. But I appreciate that because then that gives me something to look forward to. Like Monday and Tuesday, I do this. Yeah, that was actually really helpful. So thank you.
That's exactly how I started out doing this process. Was I would get up and work 8 hours a day. You can't do that. You get up, do a few things, do some applications, go take a break, come back, do some more, go take a break. Tuesday, do the same thing, and then just break up your week. That's what helped me anyway.
No,
Sean,
that's great. I like that.
Sean, why don't you tell Jenny what you did with a 4-wheeler? Why don't you tell her some of the stuff you did when you kind of rewarded yourself in the mountains?
So I bought a side-by-side. And when I would have a rough day of application, I just get in my side-by-side and go ride. Go up in the mountains. Nobody's there during the week. I'm in Montana, and I live in a town, my hometown, and there's maybe 1,000 people here. So during the week, the mountains are mine, because they're all working. So I would just get out on my own, go do my thing, go hike, go scout, go glass, go find wildlife. And then I'd come back and do my process. But that's what cleared my mind, was being able to do something for me. And that's what the side-by-side helped me out with.
I love that. Because I'm in Utah, and I'm a big outdoorsy person. So
Mhm.
I do love that. But yeah, I try to like just be with my kids because I've never
Yeah,
not worked. I've
right.
never not worked. I've been working since I was 16 years old, and a lot of people are like, try to enjoy this time because
Yeah,
you might never get it back. And
right.
so I've just been present with my kids a lot this summer. And then yeah, but now that they're back in school, I'm like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
bored.
Well, and something else during my search was like I said, I went through divorce before I got laid off, way before I got laid off. And actually through this process, the day I found out that Traeger was going to lay us off was the day I found out that we were going to have an offer on our house. The day I found out I didn't get the next job with Traeger because I only kept 12 people was the day I actually signed on the closing of my house, which was before I got laid off. So that was in November. Come December, end of December, I'm laid off. So I actually I live in a fifth wheel. I drove down to my mom and dad's house just an hour and a half away and started remodeling their house and helping them out and putting sheetrock up and doing stuff for them, which actually I've been wanting to do for years. So I did actually, this whole process has given me the time to do those things, but also have time for myself. That's the main part. I know, I mean, I have kids too. One's in Boise and one's in Bozeman. And I'm pretty proud of him because he graduated from MSU and his first job application he sent into MSU and now he's working for MSU in Bozeman. So he got lucky, but I'm very proud of him for doing that. But I was able to help them out. My daughter's been going through a little bit of a rough patch. I'm able to help her out. My mom and dad are older. I've been able to sheetrock their garage and put ceiling fans in and lights in and clean up a shop and clean up the yard and do all those things while doing my job search. So that's why I mean about several hours here and then go do something. And then several hours and then go do something for yourself. Whether that's just go walk around the neighborhood, do whatever, get your mind out of this.
I love that. Thank you. That
Yep.
it also is nice to know that I'm not alone.
No, nope. And that's what this job team is really good for.
Yeah.
Everybody here's in the same boat, and you learn something. Like if I could teach anybody anything about the job search in the very beginning, that's what I was thinking. Oh, this is going to be easy. I've actually only sent 3 resumes out before this whole thing started, and it landed me 3 different jobs. And then this process started, and I was thinking, oh, it's going to be easy. I'm just going to send my resumes out, and then learning 2026 rules that there's a lot of fake jobs. Don't apply on LinkedIn. Actually go to the company's website and apply. Indeed, apply on Indeed, but also apply on the company's website. Stuff like that. And networking, which Steve hasn't paid me yet, but I'm going to keep on saying it. Networking. That's what actually landed the job.
So what's meant behind that? We'll turn the time over. So thank you for your great question. The person who thinks I pay people to say that, yep, it's you, Jason.
I guess that transition somehow.
Yeah, you
So,
unmuted, you unmuted before I even got to you.
I know. So I assume you're just going to start sending them bills or something, some statements, just so you can get that money back.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you said it a lot, so yeah, I figured there's per per instance of saying network that you get something. Well, and like I say, I want to compliment you on your presentation itself today. I mean, that was talk about tough following, like Kevin was saying, following you after doing your spiel. Um, but so is the new company outdoorsy at all? I was just trying to look it up. It sounds very
It's actually not.
different. Yeah.
It's actually not. So this company, it's Global Archives, so it's a records and information management system.
Right.
So they take all your records, they can digitalize them, give you a software key so you can look at them from wherever you want. But they want to target like schools and government buildings and businesses and stuff like that. It's not outdoorsy in the sense of I'm not going to be working for a hunting company or a fly fishing company or anything like that. But what it is it's Montana based. It's
Right.
based out of Kalispell, Montana. They wanted a Montanan to run this. I'm their first U.S. employee. Everybody else has been on contract. So what they wanted was somebody that knows Montana, that can drive through Montana. Helena, Bozeman, Missoula. If anybody's ever been to Montana, that's a huge area. I love driving through Montana. I love traveling, but it's also companies that I can target that are, I mean, if you think about Bozeman, you've got tons of companies in there that are outdoorsy. So I'll be actually driving
That's
around
the
talking to
customer
those
base.
people and trying to build a pipeline for this. And I know a lot of people in Montana. I mean, we always think Montana's huge, but it's one small town. You know,
Hmm.
it's a huge state with one small town. So I know a lot of these people and a lot of these people that are running these companies.
Yeah, that's cool. I, I I've I've been glad to know you, and so
Thanks,
yeah,
Jason.
and like I say, very. I think you've got some software engineer in you, just the way you dealt with those tools. So
Well, I'm just not
congratulations.
afraid to push buttons, Jason. Not
Yeah,
afraid. There's always a back button.
sometimes. Yeah, sometimes. But yeah, you take care and good luck out there.
Thank you. Thank you. I actually don't start this role until September 10th. So,
Okay, next is Chad. Chad, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
All right.
Um, yeah, I don't really know that I have a lot to ask. A lot of stuff I might have asked has been asked, so.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Chad. Next is Tara.
Congratulations. I do not really have a question. I just wanted to thank you for the tools that you've created for us because they're very helpful. So thank you.
thank you. I'm glad you're using them. They, I don't know. I saw the value in them and tried to make them good, but it's AI more than anything. AI did it. I just prompted what I wanted and it spit it out.
Yeah. Well, it's helpful for all of us. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Next up is Larry Freeze.
Hey, congratulations. So
Thank you.
in your networking tool,
Mhm.
people don't get upset that you just write them or call them?
Nope. Nope. So the whole thing about like I thought that right off the bat, Larry, and I didn't want to network that way on LinkedIn because I thought of it as another social media platform where I'm gonna
Yeah.
Facebook message somebody or Instagram. No, LinkedIn is for that. If they don't respond, they don't respond. I don't care. But it's a very generic message. They can either respond or not. That's up to them. It's not like Facebook or Instagram or any of those social media platforms. This is a professional's thing, and you're trying to get something done. So don't think of it as you're bugging them or anything like that. It's just one message. They can either respond or not. It's very generic and try to make it very professional.
Okay. Okay. And going forward, I hope you are able to enjoy the journey.
Thank you.
And Larry, what's the worst thing could happen? They respond, please don't reach out to me. That's the worst thing that could happen, right? Or they could have a conversation and say, hey, took guts to do this. Let's talk. So
Yeah. Well, and the biggest thing on LinkedIn messages is I've sent a ton of them out. Ton of them. Not as much as the guy that you had on YouTube. That guy did a lot, like 8 to 10 per company or something like that. I didn't do that. But 0 messages came back saying, do not contact me. 0.
Well, that's good. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Can remove the spotlight so we can all give them a round of applause, those who have their screens on.
Thank you.
Okay. And Sean, it's been a pleasure. You know, I did put in the chat here, so somebody goes like, what's he talking about? So for many of the new people here, whether it's Jenny or James, I think Allie might was it Allie or Allison? Jenny, is it? Yeah, she dropped off. I think she dropped off. But for those who are new, there are some tools that are out there. But Sean has been great to do that. I will be sending those out. I had a little trouble, so any techie people who can help me. HTMLs don't quite copy and paste like a URL does, and so I'm still learning some of that stuff. So, but for those who I did send out, they were able to open it. It is great. I want to talk about one thing that Sean. So, Sean, I know that if you need help, I'll probably continue to help you past your program a little bit, you know. And so, Sean, did his program probably ended and it was still working. And so my belief for one of our tools called JobScan, I think as long as you're using it, it continues to work. Even though I might tell you, you know, your company paid for X, for Sean, it was working past X. It had a couple glitch moments, and for another client, it had a glitch moment, but then they went back the next day and it was working again. So, but I'm glad that Sean created this. And part of his heart is, yeah, Roger's still here. Yeah, Roger, he could make a dime on this thing, but he did it for himself. And then one thing he didn't tell everybody, he realized that this could be used for all of you. So he redid it so it wasn't just focused on Sean and being a marketing person. So that's one thing he started to add more to it. So it wasn't just Sean friendly, it was everybody friendly. And that needs a huge round of applause. So if you really want to know, when I send this out, so for everybody who's new here, I do look at what the notes are for this and I will send it out. I have a meeting right at 12, and so I won't have time. I will hope to, Jenny, to call you after this so we can get something scheduled. But I'll probably put all of the highlight reels from Sean. And what do? I record these when I have something we're going to talk about. And Sean has shared many things. The tool he created, he also created a slide deck and multiple slide decks. And, you know, and he learned how to use, I think, Chat GPT versus against JobScan. These are all his journey. And we record those because, like Kevin said, we learned something from him. We've learned a lot from him. And so I'm going to ask to do something that I've never done we do it in Job Team, but we never usually do it when somebody is sharing their story. But I think not just a round of applause. I think we should give them a standing ovation. So I'm going to tell everybody, those who are here, to stand and give me a round of applause. So
Thank you.
Sean, thank you.
Thank you. But thanks to all of you guys too. I mean, I've learned a ton from everybody here. And yeah, I can't thank you enough, Steve, and everybody else here. It's everybody what drove me to build anything was the questions in my mind that I had, the questions that you guys had. Why isn't this working? How do you do this better? Why not make a computer system do it for you? I mean, that's where the world's going anyway. So why not have AI make a networking thing? Jason, that's one more time. So that's another 50 cents.
Good, right there.
But yeah, it's just more of that. What are you guys seeing? What are the troubles you guys are seeing? What am I seeing? And when I'm 8 months into a job search, I can't just sit there and search. I have to work. So that's why I came up with these.
And he's not a programmer, Jason. He just said, here's what I want. And if it wasn't quite what he wanted, he kept on poking it to give it what he wanted. And, you know, and
that's programming.
We're we're a beneficiary of his hard work. So thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, one more round of applause, and then we're going to end this recording. Again, this is Sean Lane.